Unfortunately, the school system in America is broken. Am I the only one that feels like it's crazy that school as we know it today began as a response to the Industrial Revolution? It was just the only way to give mass numbers of children education and childcare for free. But pretty quickly, people began to wonder if it might even be the factory owner's intent to condition better workers from a young age for more profit for their businesses. And I feel like a lot of people don't know this. 10 people, all men, determined exactly what children should learn in school. In 1892, 10 people decided there should be 12 years, that high school should be separate from the other grades, that you should learn geometry at about 8th grade, and so on. It's what we refer to as the standardization of education. And it turns out that the method is far more important than the material. Well, hello guys, and welcome to sunny Southern California. It's actually a very rainy and chilly day today, but beautiful nonetheless. I often feel like, without saying it, what I share on this channel is like homeschooling for adults. I share about crafting an enjoyable life, an intentional life. So many of you guys in the comments ask me about homeschooling. So today is the day. I grew up right here in Southern California, and my parents homeschooled my brother and I all the way until I was a sophomore in high school, and then I went to public high school. So I get the real privilege of being a second generation homeschool parent, which I think now really makes homeschooling so much more enjoyable for me, because I don't have any of the fears and so many of the difficulties that come along with being a pioneer, really, for anything in your family, doing anything different from the way you were raised. If you're a first-time homeschooling parent, I just want to give you credit, because it's really hard work to forge something new like that you've never done and that you didn't experience as a child. There's a lot of doubt and fear that come up, and I really do still think I'm homeschooling myself. Pursuing passions, like little random hobbies. I talked about in a recent video, my overhauls. As I was writing that video, I was like, this is a lot like homeschooling. Anyway, if you want to check out that video, you can. But in this video, I wanted to give you the experience of what homeschooling feels like. Because when you're sitting in a classroom, I'm sure you've heard the saying, like, we don't remember what someone said, we remember how they made us feel. And I think about that a lot when I'm like scripting my videos and thinking through the different shots that I want to fill them with, that the experience that I want you to have. I don't know like what the experience you guys are having, of course, is. I wish I could talk to you about that more in person so much. Like I so value the comments, because that's the only feedback I get, after having that intention. But all that to say, it's really hard to describe homeschooling in just a few minutes, which is what my videos often are. Homeschooling is so different than just replicating school at home. Many of my friends that homeschool have said that it's taken them a few years just to unlearn school with their children. So I have been filming this video for way too long, so many weeks. And that is all because I wanted to really invite you in and not just sit here and talk about homeschooling and what's bad with the school system and what's great about homeschooling. So this is a week in our life, homeschooling our kids. So we have 3 kids. Mallory is my daughter, she's 7, and Tennessee's 4, and Maverick is 6 months old. I guess Tennessee would be in preschool and Mallory would be in 2nd grade, but not that I'm really keeping track. I love that the kids can learn about things together and at their own pace. And I also really love that they ask so many questions, because as I thought about it for this video, their questions are really our curriculum, and it's what I follow to create fun learning experiences for them. It's how I shape our schedule and our week. So questions they're asking lately, well, Tennessee is asking a lot about cactuses. Specifically, why are saguaros so big? And do they really live to be 200 years old? And I love sometimes on Etsy, there'll be someone that has created a little unit study based on exactly what the kids are interested in. And this was one of those times. We learned about saguaros this week, and specifically on Monday, that they're a keystone species, which means the whole habitat depends on them, a lot like honeybees in our backyard. We also like eating cookies, so we did that. Okay, so it was Taco Tuesday, and somebody, I forget who, really wanted to understand how tortillas are made. This is matzah going into a bowl, and we're measuring it out with water, which, as it turns out, is how tortillas are made. And this is Tennessee. He loves my big blue mixer. He likes putting the pieces on. He likes turning it on to see how fast it will go. And I think he likes it. It's a little bit dangerous. Yeah. I think this is perfect though. I actually met my husband when we were both in high school. He's a year older than me, so a grade older than me. He was the valedictorian of his class. And man, if anyone knew how to win at school, it was him. He often says, now I can just hear it, if you want to win at life though, you got to forget everything you ever learned at school. I mean, you have to get comfortable being different. You got to get comfortable talking to people that you don't usually sit with. You gotta be curious. You have to ask questions. You have to keep learning even when it's not a part of your grade. When your interest is the only reward, which, as it turns out, is very hard to do. But I think the really good news in all of this is that we have a choice. We have the freedom to make a choice about what we want for our child's education. I feel like I often say this in my videos, like, childhood is a short season. It is. Adulthood is much longer, and I think it should be just as enjoyable. So every couple weeks, I just dedicate a little bit of time to order a bunch of new library books. The library where we live is not that great, but it doesn't matter because I can go online and order library books about whatever the kids are interested in, and then they can read them, and we can just swap them out for other books. So the kids were reading a book recently about the ocean, and they were wondering, how deep do whales swim? So I went back on Etsy and found another little unit study about ocean animals and whales, and we probably spent 30 minutes doing this. And in general, I would say we probably spend 30 minutes 3 times a week doing things like this, or math, specifically for Mallory from The Good and the Beautiful, and also sometimes not at all. And that's okay too. Mallory really loves to read to Tennessee, and there's a whole stack of books now that she can read. I know reading is like a big thing that scares homeschooling parents, but having watched her read and learn to read, it's just something I don't think we need to worry about so long as we're reading to our children every day. These are lychees, and we kind of got hooked on these in Hawaii. They're like grapes, but I would say even sweeter. And we stumbled on them in the Mexican grocery store, which, by the way, I love taking my kids to ethnic grocery stores. And while I love traveling with the kids, it's so easy and local and free to just take the kids to ethnic grocery stores. In fact, we stumbled upon cactuses that we had just learned about. I think it's so great to learn about other cultures, not just by reading about them in books, but by experiencing them. And what better way to do that than with food? Oh, also, we saw piñatas at the store, so we decided to make some of our own. Then we had a snack, and the kids played Hot Wheels pretty much for the rest of the day. So where we live, it's just a short walk across the border to Mexico and a very short flight down to one of our favorite parts of Baja California. And it just so happens to be a place where you can see saguaros in real life. So we decided to make the trip. What was really cool is that we got to see whales, and not just like 2 or 3 whales. We got to see thousands of whales making their migration into the Sea of Cortez to have their babies. It was epic. I've lived by the ocean my whole life, and I've never seen anything like it. I also just wanted to point out that when we travel like this, I make no point to like bring any schoolwork on the road. I think it's so important to be where you are when you're there and experience it fully. And like I mentioned, being out of your routine and off your regular schedule, I think it's important to just focus on making family memories together.
Oh my! They're just like little hard rocks.
I took a chance.
I think we got
Take a chance on me. We're going to the best restaurant ever. If you're ever in Baja, I guess we're not on the East Cape anymore. We're in like Cabo. Where are you going? Oh. Anyway, this place is so good. So pretty. And I remember my mom saying this when I was a kid. If somebody's crying, then we have to quit. No more school for the day. Because if someone's crying, no one's learning. Learning happens when we're having fun. I see that guy. Oh, there's a little one behind it. It's eating a leaf. It's also important that we're having fun as adults too while we're homeschooling. And if we're not, then it's time to quit. It's time to take a break and do something fun.
Daddy, look at me in the corner.
Hey, bud. Really enjoyed making this video. I don't often think about and reflect upon what are my goals with homeschooling our children. You know, like it's just such a natural decision for us and a natural part of our life that it was actually really grounding to reflect back again on why do we do what we do? Why do we live this way? Sometimes in life, you're clipping along at a pace and you're seeing lots of return on your hard work. And other times, you know, there are dips too. And I feel like being postpartum, there's a little bit of a dip. And we don't go out as much. We've just been like really slowed down lately, kind of at home more. It's just been a lot of very slow family time. And in filming this video, I just felt really encouraged that even in the mundane, even in the days that feel like, oh geez, we didn't do much today, I think that our children are learning life and relational skills that are actually valuable. I think they're learning to live and work at a natural pace that encourages rather than discourages curiosity. I love that we're spending lots of time together. I love that they get to be outside for the majority of our time. Being outside is just what's best for physical, emotional, and mental health. And I love that by homeschooling, I get to let my kid be the guide for their learning. And so I'm glad that we get to spend these short years together, that the memories they'll have is of us at home and in our day-to-day life, learning how to run a business and cooking food and pursuing different interests, hanging out with friends, having dinner with family, running around with neighbor kids, which I'm sure you can hear outside. I know that there are so many different ways to raise children, and I won't pretend that this is a one-size-fits-all. But I do hope that anytime I share something on my channel that just enhances my life and makes it better, that it'll be inspiring in some way to you. I really believe that when we give children the opportunity and the time to explore their interests, to learn at their own pace, we're setting them up for success, not just in school, but in life. Lastly, I think it's so important that my kids grow up to know that learning doesn't just finish when you finish school. I know that in referencing that video that I made about reinventing your life, I'm always changing and I'm always growing. And that learning these skills about pursuing interests and passions and growing at a natural pace, that they're important skills for every age. So thank you to you guys for requesting this video. I hope that it has answered some questions for you. If you have more questions, feel free to leave them for me in the comments and I'll get back to as many as I can. Thank you to my kids and my husband for being a part of this video, and to my own parents. Thank you guys for homeschooling me and for paving the way. Wow, I don't usually cry on camera. Thank you again, you guys, for watching this video. I'll see you in my next one. Okay. I probably should have filmed at this angle, but this happens to me every time.